Hi, this is Brett. Hey, I wanted to talk today about how to make the most of your sauna time. These are a few tips and tricks that you can use to optimize your detox while you're in your sauna. So the first thing you want to do is you want to put towels on the bench and you want to put towels on the floor. So ideally you're not, the towels are soaking up the sweat instead of it getting on the bench. You want a bunch of towels, and ideally you want really good towels that have been washed in clean laundry soap, which I did a talk on that. So you want to start with that. I'm going to look down at my notes occasionally. The next thing you want to do while you're in the sauna is you want to towel off super frequently, because it doesn't matter how much you sweat. What matters is how much sweat you remove from your body. So literally every 2 minutes after I start sweating, I get up, I stand up, I towel off like I just took a shower, I open the door, get a little bit of fresh air, close the door, sit back down every 2 minutes. And by the time I'm done with an hour sauna session, I'll have 2 heavy, full bath towels that are soaking, not soaking wet, but they're heavy because of the sweat. So I recommend toweling off very frequently. The next thing is this is a little bit controversial. Some people are like, oh, I wanted to meditate and be in the Zen zone or whatever while I'm doing the sauna. And other people are like, hey, distract me. This is tough. So if you're wanting to distract yourself while you're in the sauna, there are a couple of things you can do. A lot of people are concerned about their devices overheating in the sauna, but the truth is laptops, and I've experimented with all these things, laptops, cell phones, tablets, they all have an overheat shut off. So if it's in a car and it's too hot, or if it's outside and it's too hot, it just simply shuts down. So you really don't have anything to worry about as far as damaging a device. What I've done is I've brought my phone in and listened to a podcast on it, and then what I do is I'll put it inside a towel. I'll have a couple of towels folded up and I'll just slide it inside the towel, and that keeps it from getting too hot and shutting down. The next thing I did, and this is a little bit extreme, but some of you might find this entertaining or might even find it useful, so I built a little shelf up in my sauna, and I had an old 15-inch laptop that I didn't care too much about, and what I did is I put an ice pack, one of those solid blocks of ice underneath it on the shelf, and turned it on and said, oh, well, let's see what happens. Well, it turns out it worked really well, because the fan's on the bottom, and it blew the cold air from the ice pack up, and it cooled the laptop. So I was able to watch Netflix while I was in there, so I could spend an hour and a half in the sauna and be totally distracted, and it worked really, really well. Another option that's a little more feasible for most people is to put a TV outside the sauna, and then run a set of headphones or a little wire for some speakers inside the sauna so you can watch TV or movies or whatever. The main thing is, that's obviously not the perfect scenario, but whatever you have to do to spend the quality time in the sauna, getting the sweat off your body, out of your body, the toxins out, that's really going to make the difference. Even if you have a little bit of radiation from the cell phone or whatever, that's not nearly as big of a deal as getting the toxins out of your body. So whether you're listening to a podcast, listening to music, meditating, do whatever you have to do to spend the quality time in the sauna. And speaking of time in the sauna, when you first start out, you really want to start low and slow. Low temperature and low time amount. Maybe 10 minutes at 120, 130 degrees to start with. And then gradually work your way up. You don't want to go too fast. You don't want to just jump in at maximum temperature. But once you've gotten heat adapted, what you want to do is you want to get in the sauna. Here's what I do is I don't like wasting time in the sauna while it's heating up. So I get mine as hot as I possibly can. And then after I start sweating, as I stand up and towel off, like I mentioned earlier, then I open the door. That allows fresh air, and it gradually cools it down. So there's a lot of people that believe that 130 degrees is about the optimal range that you want for sweating, to get the most out of the most toxins out of the sweat, out of the actual fat itself. And so 130 degrees is kind of about the ideal range for that. But the problem is if you start at 130, it might take a long time for you to sweat, depending on the individual. Whereas if you start at like 160, which is what I do, and I get sweating after 10 minutes, then I cool it down to 130 and then just maintain it in that approximate range. So that's what I do. That's what I recommend. Let's see if there's anything else. Of course, proper hydration. And the other thing that's super, super important is 97% of people are deficient in potassium. And that's people who don't sweat on a regular basis. So it's super important to take potassium. Ideally, avocados, bananas, because if you don't, you're going to get headaches from the lack of potassium. So potassium, sodium, of course, stay hydrated. I bring in the half-gallon mason jars because they're glass, and so there's not going to be any migration of chemicals. So those are my tips for optimizing your sauna experience. I hope they helped. Have a great day.